got it? Okay.
Alrighty. Al just reminded us that we also have a 25-minute recovery procedure to include in our time. So unless there are any other last-minute zooms, this is the time.
If you want me to zoom out?
This is the time.
Yeah, zoom out.
This is the time to say goodbye to the Pioneer Canyon complex. I'll call it that. So
oh, these are the first pink fragile urchins I've seen.
What?
There's two of them. To the left.
And the last ones
Just
you're
pan,
gonna see.
go to the right. Pan up.
They're very common across all of that mud. We never saw any of them. I'm so surprised that we finally found one.
Two.
And it's in
There's
this
another
rocky
scallop
habitat.
there.
Can I
It's
zoom?
like behind the rock.
Yeah. Let me know when I can zoom.
I think we have. It's up to you guys.
You want
But
it?
no,
No. A couple minutes.
no,
I want it.
Don't want it?
Oh, want it?
no. They're very common. We know what they are. We don't need to collect them. But
Yeah.
it's just so funny
But-
how.
But we're just so surprised they're not here. So here they are.
Here they are.
Okay, last chance, y'all.
Yeah. Even
Bye, little urchins.
okay. There they are.
All right.
Here we go.
All right. Zooming out.
So what's our depth now? Got, say, about 800 meters, so maybe 100 meters we'll take that.
Okay.
That last Niskin bout, 100 meters depth.
Off bottom.
Okay, what do I gotta do? I gotta just drive out.
Drive up and don't lose any of our precious cargo.
No pressure.
Bye,
Everything's
Benthos.
All closed up. Is this our recovery heading, you're saying? We gotta call the bridge.
Yeah, we gotta call the bridge. And I gotta find Rennie.
Yeah.
So Jen, I guess we are on for tomorrow night, not until tomorrow night. We have the morning off.
Right. Yep.
I'm gonna catch up on my emails. It's Nancy
You can
Foster
just
Scholar
hang
season.
loose and, go ahead and let your auto head go.
All right.
Start answering a lot of questions from different students who want to apply for Nancy Foster Scholarship.
What is the Nancy Foster Scholarship for everybody listening, in case there's people interested to know?
You don't need to go yet.
It's
I'll get lined
it's
up.
an absolutely
I'm ready.
It's an absolutely fantastic scholarship program that NOAA supports. It's primarily sponsored by the National Marine Sanctuary Program, Office of National Marine Sanctuaries. And
Right, Nemmer.
we send out a call for proposals
Looks like where the ship's happy.
or
Like if
applications.
they're good on this heading, you just ask the bridge, just say, are you guys good on this heading?
And usually the applications open October 1st and they close usually the first or second week of December, whatever Friday is, probably
Alright,
the
so
second
we can
Friday
start
of
coming up.
December. But you can just Google Nancy Foster Scholarship. Nancy Foster was once the head of NOAA. And she has a scholarship in her memory. And we typically get about 200 to 300 applicants for 2 to 3 awards.
Wait, What?
Scholarships. But the scholarships are primarily not for the students' research, but to help support them so that they can just concentrate on their research, so they can use it for their books, their rent, their food, their tuition. And it's basically their job is to be a student and a researcher. And it's primarily for PhD and master students in U.S. schools for U.S. Students.
How nice to be able to have that support while doing research.
It's a win-win. It's a win for the sanctuaries, and it's a win for the students. It's a win for the schools. Unfortunately, we just can't afford more than 2 or 3 a year. Karina Fish, who will be on the events live, Nautilus Live. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of that program, but I will find it, or maybe if Justin's still on, he can find it for me. And she is one of our current Nancy Foster Scholars, and she's working on corals and climate impacts on corals. And she has come out with us and helped us with developing an algorithm to use our CTD data to look at pH, basically, and aragonite saturation. And it's a pretty good, she's a wonderful, wonderful student. She's a candidate, PhD candidate. There we go. Corals in the darkness. Thank you, Justin. So let's see. It is Explore at Home. So if you go to the Ocean Exploration Trust Nautilus Live web pages and look for the Explore at Home section, you'll see down at the bottom all of the live events that will be happening over the next couple of weeks. And tomorrow, Karina and Steve will be presenting their information.
And you know something I figured out about the Explore at Home? I mean, it's great to catch them live because if you have questions, you can actually ask the questions via Facebook Live or YouTube. But if you missed it, because there have been a number of them before now, and if you just can't make that time, the recordings are available, so you can play it back and still see the presentation that interests you. So I was looking through those the other day and sending some to some of the teachers that I'm working with this year who are interested in exploration, so that they're available even if you can't make the live presentation.
Yeah, and I like that it's on Facebook and on YouTube, so you don't necessarily have to have a Facebook account. Even if you go to the Facebook section, you can still tune in, and you can also tune in through YouTube.
Looks like you're going up at about 11 or 12.
Our own Steve Oskovich and Karina Fish will be interviewed and live tomorrow at 10 a.m. I think that's Eastern time, or 1 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, I'm sorry.
The 10 a.m. is
10 a.m. Hawaii time. Hawaii time?
I always like being on Hawaiian time.
1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Oh, not coming up very fast.
It says, picture of coral. Did you imagine something tropical and sunshiny? Dive in to explore the corals who live their life in total darkness and frigid temperatures of the deep sea. Learn how they are similar and different to their tropical relatives. And meet 2 members of the Corps of Exploration. So it's Karina and Steve.
When you come, I'll stop, and I'm going to come here again. I want to look at this.
Yeah. So they last somewhere between a half hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, come up. You can just get above me by 15 or so.
Well, today, right after our earlier watch, I had the opportunity to zoom into a 5th grade class and share what we'd been up to, and they were so excited to hear about what we've been doing, and they're excited to go back to the octopus and the whale fall with us starting tomorrow. And it was great because while I was doing that, that's when Justin was online and actually answering questions from anyone who was watching the live stream that wanted to ask. And I just love that. We're going to have that function on some during our cruises so that people who are watching can ask questions. When they see the little green button that's on instead of the red button, that's when you can write in a question to the exploration team. So we'll be doing more of that on future dives. On this expedition, I think that's really fun.
Yeah, it was great having Justin and Amity be our science communication fellows. I didn't realize until they started doing. I think they just started doing that today, where they were reading the chats from the questions from around the world. I mean, we can sit here and talk our heads off, but some of the questions make the experience for the scientists a lot more interesting when we can get those kind of different questions. I always like the questions. Okay, so you're on the boat, and what's it like on the boat? Is it really loud? What's your bed like? What are you eating? How's the food? Things I don't normally think about, just kind of chattering about when we're on watch. But having Amity and Justin feed us those questions from the public, that makes it that much more a real Nautilus experience.
Definitely. I do have some pictures from previous years where I made sure to take a picture of the shower and the bathroom, the toilet, the beds, the exercise room, because when I show the kids, when I go into classrooms and show the kids those things, that's when their eyes get big, because they kind of know you're on board, but they don't really think about living on board. And oh, you take a shower on a moving boat, and you eat lunch there, and oh, you might exercise in a gym when you're not working on shift. So it helps bring the whole experience more to life for them. I miss living on board the ship this year.
Yeah, it's so much harder, I think. Just trying to figure out, okay, I want to go here, or let's talk a bit about this, and then the comms kind of go in and out, and you can't really switch between a lot of the different cameras that are on Hercules. And then
now we can see the control room on camera 3. Earlier today, when I was preparing for that talk to these students, someone put on an overhead view of the front row, and I grabbed a screenshot of that. And when I was showing that to the students, they really laser focus in on the controllers and it, because it looks like a video game console
Must have
kind
been
of,
how
and
they
they just
zeroed it before. You know, it's goofy.
so they get really. I think that's really fun to think about actually driving the ROVs, piloting them, and what tools you would need to do that.
I don't know. Maybe I gotta get under and look at it. Right?
So I think we're probably
I can't
about
tell because I spin one way and I get a minus there and a
4 or
plus
5
there. I go the
hours
other way
from
and I get the
Monterey.
opposite. But like, can't get the.
Not positive.
Are you picking
Sam, are you
up?
still? Sam, are you still in the control room in the van?
Hi there, I am.
No. Oh, you are. How long of a transit is it to Monterey?
That is a great question. Let me find those numbers for you.
I think we should just go back the way I
Okay.
have it.
I'm just curious. When we were trying to plan this out, because we really need somebody on board to help with downloading the data from the instruments that have been out on Davidson Seamount for the past year. And Chad was the most logical choice, mainly because he didn't have to fly anywhere. He's within driving distance pretty easily of a port that he could hop on the smaller boat between Nautilus and the port.
Yeah, so they reset it.
So he's
Yeah, they
getting on
reset
board
it weird.
tomorrow.
So I can't tell if I go one way, it's I get a negative and a positive, and I go the other way, I get a positive and a negative. I can't tell.
Yeah, so
Right.
as we were mentioning, there's a new control van this year.
So maybe if we just eyeball it and say,
I hear it's
looks
colder
good,
than
right?
the other one.
Which I think it does.
But if you are interested
they have to be cold.
Yeah, if anyone who's watching is interested in seeing it, turn on either channel 3 or the quad view, and you'll be able to see what it looks like on board the vessel in the control van. I know there are some other changes made.
There's the lump. So okay.
To the Nautilus over the winter, but I don't know what they all are.
Let's see. Last year, when I was on board, they had a new wet lab. It was very nicely refurbished.
This is like my heading
this
here
van
that I want to be on.
is new.
So we got to decide if we turn
so that if you're sitting in the back row, that's where the scientists are relegated to the back row. And you can see everybody that's in the front row. Before you couldn't see everybody. You could see just the people that were in the middle. And there was kind of like a wall. There's a channel or a wall kind of in between.
All right, here we go. Well, I gotta back up. I never get it to spin. But, okay, you want to do it? Yeah, spin it counterclockwise.
So science, I don't have the exact coordinates, but approximately 65 nautical miles to Monterey, which is about 6 hours transit.
Yeah, let me drive down.
Okay.
At,
oh, wait, don't
10 knots.
Well, I guess that makes sense since the pickup time is 7 a.m.
Okay.
It'll take a little time once the ROVs are on board before you'll get underway, I assume.
Go ahead. You can do it now. Yeah.
Yeah, right now we're
They
investigating
run a tight ship.
possible tether wrap before we get farther up in the water column.
Okay. I think you can let it go now. And I will drive out. It is what it is. Yeah. Not really. Yeah. And we're gonna come up slow too, apparently.
Jennifer, what are you going to do with your
Yep,
time off
turn it
tomorrow?
Somehow my morning, as soon as I unblocked it, filled up with meetings.
Oh,
So,
see, I did not unblock mine. Yeah, I am going to have to catch up on a lot of emails. So I will be busy.
yeah. So we've got
Well,
just some different projects
I gotta come up first.
that, we're continuing while I'm doing this. So I was going to miss those meetings, but now I can join, which is
You went
probably
0.
a good thing.
But I'm not coming up very fast, like 13.
Yeah.
It'll take a while.
But I'd rather
You
be
estimated
exploring.
18 and coming up at 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, an hour.
I'm going to definitely start on kind of organizing all of the data that we've collected so far. And I believe
it's a lot.
They've started pulling and categorizing, or at least pulling highlights. Screen grab highlights.
Great.
So that will be good too. That's going to take days. So I should get started while the information is fresh in my notebook and fresh on the forms. Actually, should check those forms.
And I'm going to 0 wraps because that only makes sense to me. Right? Down with that? Yeah.
So we don't want to forget to collect that water sample.
What was that, Jan? I didn't catch it.
You don't want to forget to collect that water sample.
It's either going to be 0 or 2 wraps. The previous watch put in a wrap, and that's when they reset it, so that because they had a dropout, and then they got it. They put in a wrap. I think we don't know where we're at. Yeah, it should have been apparent, I would think. But you could have had a wrap to start with from before. So, I mean, it'd be a wrap with the recovery line, but not really a wrap on the tether. No, I think they had a dropout on this one. Yeah. No, I think both. Jess hasn't had a dropout, but I think, I think Dan's drawn the dropout card. And Jake was driving. Yeah. Yeah, he kind of panicked there.
Is it looking good now on the wrap? All worked out?
Yeah, we're on our way up, but we're not coming up
All right.
very fast. We're coming up at 13. We're going to be on the surface at midnight.
Okay.
So much for my
So much for
plan
your
here.
thing, yeah.
Although I forgot to incorporate the actual time it takes to get the vehicles on board, so.
Oh,
We have a little wiggle room in our transit time, so we're good.
Yeah.
And Jan, remind me again when we want to fire the Niskin?
Is that 100, right?
100 meters.
Okay.
yeah.
Do we know where we're picking up Chad? Is it off Monterey Harbor? Well,
Monterey
I know
Harbor.
we're
I knew
picking
there
up
were
him up with our small boat, but
There were two options that I
believe he was
saw.
gonna,
One was Santa Cruz and one was
call-
Monterey.
okay.
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be Monterey.
Okay.
Santa Cruz is going to be an option if the weather was nasty. It's a
Got
little
it.
more protected. But it should be good tomorrow. Plus, it's a little closer.
So we were talking about the fact that over the winter there were some upgrades on the Nautilus. We were talking about the control van looks really nice. But what else was changed or improved?
Oh, that was a big enough job. We didn't do too much to the vehicles. We
I
did
thought
get
there was something with
we got
the winch or
Norbit.
whatever.
We got the Norbit sonar. The what?
Well, the cable, was that changed out or was that the year prior?
That was before. Yeah, we got a new winch.
Okay.
A traction winch.
Got a new engine.
Yeah, we got a new engine on the ship. The main engine got
Oh,
changed.
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
It's 70 tons big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, without that we don't go anywhere, huh?
Yeah, the old engine was called Thor because it would thump like Thor was down there banging his hammer. And it spewed out like globs of diesel, like coal. It was pretty bad. It'd get all over everything. It was due. The old engine was the original from the 1960s.
Oh wow.
East German.
So is the new engine much quieter?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't get the thump sound.
Well, on the way down on the first dive, we saw quite a bit of midwater fish, and squid, and then closer to the surface, krill. I'm curious if we're going to see anything like that as we get closer to the surface. That would be nice.
Doing some paperwork here. That's why I'm a little quiet. Yellow taco sponge.
So Amanda just noted that she might have seen a couple larvaceans go by without their houses on. So they're these kind of tadpole-looking animals. And they can build these, or they do build these large houses out of mucus. And they use these houses to filter the water and capture food. But every now and then, when it gets all clogged up with the marine snow and everything, and it's not filtering well anymore, they swim away from their houses, leaving it behind. So for some period of time, they're naked again before they can build a new house. And just recently, there was work done that looked at the kind of like three-dimensional modeling of these houses, these larvation houses. So really interesting. And it's a huge source of carbon moving from the upper part of the ocean and sinking down to the seafloor.
Yeah, 1600. Yeah, well, Midwatch will do the post dives. That's it for them. Yeah, just pick it up. Actually, I guess they get stuck doing all that. Yeah, they're gonna get both. Yeah.
Okay, so I know there was some information that had been put together about this recent work at Mbari about the larvation houses. So first of all, they use this new laser technology called deep PI.
I think we lost V-Link again.
I'm back.
Loud and clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Did I drop out while I was talking about the larvation houses?
Yep.
Yes, you did, right at the good
What
part.
what did I say? Where did I leave off?
Deep
You're talking about
They're
Mbari
naked,
and
and
their
then
laser, new laser.
Ah, deep PIV.
carbon sinks.
Okay, yeah, so they use this cool laser technology to look how the particles are moving through these houses. And they figured out that one giant larvation could filter 40.
Oh no. We're never going to hear the end of the story.
You know what? It's probably proprietary data, and therefore they're cutting you off, Jen.
Yeah.
Now when did I lose you? Or
You got the how much? You didn't say how much.
Tune in next time to hear the end of this story.
You didn't say how many.
they filter.
What do they filter?
I'm just kidding. I'm still here.
We're waiting for the quantity of particulate.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
40 to 76 liters or 20 gallons of water an hour.
Pretty incredible.
Per larvation.
Wow.
house.
Oh, hello. That was one of those funky, I believe they're a
Nope.
Oh!
gastropod.
Oops.
I never remember what they're called, but they're a funky slug. In one of our ocean science
I wish I'd
last
seen
year
it.
to get
studied
into
them.
the snow.
Do you mean the Pelagothuria?
Yep. They're not slugs, are they? They're
Cool.
They're sea cucumbers, but
yes,
I'm not certain that was that, but it could have been.
Sure look like it.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah, you're going 12.
But then we,
16.
but a little bit after you guys said, look at that, then it looked like there was something had inked.
Oh, it could have been a
Ink
pseudomorph.
went through.
That's true.
I think we're a little far north for those.
Yeah, that's.
You know, they took off some lateral. I mean, I took off some horizontal, and then I'm just doing lateral. So I think the laterals draw less power than we need to make up some time anyway. We're going to make midnight. $500 meters. He's often. Yeah, that's you.
So to bring things full circle, in talking to Amanda earlier tonight and collecting sponges, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the same laser technology she's been using it to look at how water is being filtered through sponges.
Yeah, we're going to be at sea. I don't know about diving. That's a long ways away. Yep. Yep. I didn't bring a costume. Ah. 3 hats. No.
So Amanda confirms that she is using the deep PIV to study the volume of water that deep sea sponges are filtering.
Mm.
Great siphonophore there in Argus Cam. Wow.
Oh, look at that.
And
Nice.
in Herc Cam, different siphonophores.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, Paul, this is how you do the stick lock.
Oh, yeah, the claw.
Found another hagfish fact. Interested?
Yeah.
Okay. We actually have 2 different hagfishes off California. The black hagfish typically occurs 600 to 1,200 meters, whereas the Pacific hagfish typically occurs from 91 to 366 meters. So earlier when I was looking things up, I was looking up the wrong species of hagfish.
Huh.
So yeah, we were kind of in the heart of the depth zone for the black hagfish on these dives.
What's the physical difference of them? Just one's darker?
Well, now you are going off script because I don't have that information in front of me.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Blue Water.
Oh wait, my audio's cutting out.
Oh. Not this time. Good try though. But here's a larvation mucus house. It's not house. Oh, there it goes.
Wait,
Another
I'm looking for
siphonophore
it.
and Argus Cam.
Yeah, those things look like the monster from the Alien movie.
Yeah. Many things do. There's a really nice mucus house.
I'm not seeing these.
It shows up better.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of in the right. It's almost out of view now.
I think
It's
it was,
disappearing
yeah.
in the
Okay,
distance.
just hard to. I may need to turn down what little light I have on in here to be able to see that better.
Yeah, they're pretty see-through.
Do we know the little fish that's curling up? Anyone? Did you see that?
Ctenophore.
No.
Oh, I gotta find Mark. This is my favorite part. I love blue water. All the good stuff. Sorry, C4 folks.
He should have a radio with him, and then we can just call him in his room. That would be a lot easier.
That wouldn't give Sam a break.
Yeah. Huh. It's interesting. So I'm not like really any different on the horizontals, and I took out the laterals and we slowed down.
Maybe current or something? No, I don't know.
We'll find out because I got to go back to giving it lateral.
What's our depth?
We're at 480.
Thank you.
So in response to me commenting on that curled up fish, first on the science chat, Amanda said that someone had told her that it's a common defensive behavior by these fish. It makes it harder for them to be eaten.
Huh. I think it'd make them
And
more
then-
bite-sized.
I guess it depends on the mouth size of your
Yeah.
predator.
Huh.
Yeah, and then Justin added onto that Erica said one of the curled fish was a species of eel pout, but he said, he doesn't know that for certain. And then he said, or she said, people call them Cheerios.
Huh.
So, which of
And
course
what
makes
about
it
the
seem
eel
like they would
pout?
be easy to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess she just maybe saw that behavior, and in that case it was an eel pout.
Oh, okay. And those are small eel pouts, right?
Well, what we just saw
Really
was
small
pretty
ones?
small,
Okay.
but I couldn't
I
tell
missed
what kind
it. I
of
was
fish
Yeah,
it
they
I
come
was
up faster.
filling out the
It's weird.
paperwork, and
Crazy.
but I have seen that before.
It's
Makes
just
no
testing
sense.
whenever I stop paying attention.
I saw two different fish do it as we were ascending. As soon as they kind of got into the light, they curled up
And
tight.
I'm giving it just as much horizontal thrust. And I'm just adding lateral. That should take some of the hydraulic power away from the other thrusters.
Cheerios.
Yet
Oh,
they come up fast.
There's another one.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's faster when you give it lateral.
Yeah.
I wonder if somehow like you're bringing more water in through the verts.
What are those? Shining in the
Because it is both
distance.
times it was faster when you were lateraling, right?
It goes from
Squid?
like 13
Little
to
market
15.
squid?
Yeah.
You think they maybe
Yeah,
were
a few meters a
squid?
minute
Could be.
faster when I'm giving it
Oh, yeah.
lateral.
Definitely seeing more things here. We're getting
Oh, wait, no, the
440
water's
meters.
coming down, right? So then maybe it's like pushing the water. No, I don't know.
All right, well, I'm going to try it again because I got to take it off because I'm going too far the other way.
Yeah.
Okay, we're experimenting again.
Yep. Losing speed.
That's bizarre.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that the laterals are right there next to the verticals.
Yeah.
But any kind of fluids explanation I'm going to offer is garbage.
Yeah.
Are these all larvation houses sinking?
thought the larvation houses were kind of encompassing the larvation, which is in the middle of it. So they're more kind of ovoid rather than like a parachute.
Like the one now that's going by or going down in the distance looked more.
Yeah, that looks more like a
balloon-like.
larvation house.
So what are these?
I don't know, but I don't know what these ones that kind of look like dandelion flower seeds being blown into the wind.
So Amanda says the parachutes are called sinkers and are discarded. So maybe when they're discarded, they become this shape when the larvation exits them. Versus the ones that are puffed up, they still have the larvation inside. Is that right, Amanda? Yes, I got it right. Woohoo! Yes, I got it.
Oh, good.
So I think, yeah, when they're actively pumping, they help keep it inflated. And then once they've left and it's no longer inflated, it starts sinking and takes on that parachute-like appearance. Okay, and the curled up fish right now, Justin sent an article from Mbari about it being midwater eel pouts. Melanostigma pomellus. Curls up into a circle when disturbed. So some of the ideas around why they might do this is either to make itself look smaller or to try to look like another common midwater animal, such as a jellyfish. And then maybe they would be avoided because their predators don't want to be stung thinking it's a jelly.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Justin and Amanda, for contributing so much to our blue water education.
They're both teachers.
Well, you know, I took invertebrate zoology, but it was quite a while ago. And I know that Amanda has been actively teaching invertebrate zoology, so she has all these pieces of information right there at her fingertips. Amanda has invited me to join her invertebrate zoology class. What a generous offer.
Hopefully I will be double busy next summer catching up all of my field work that I missed out this year, as well as next year.
Well, some of it, right, are surveys that are just going to be gaps, right, in the surveys. But some of it is not survey, like monitoring surveys. Is that it? So you'll be able to do them in a different year?
Yeah, our Caroline Island Rocky Intertidal sites, we had a tough time getting onto the island, and they had a lot of electrical power issues. And so bringing on, even temporarily, just a few more people would have really have drained their electrical system. So we waited, and we only had enough time to really do, about 80%, but we really wanted to put in some temperature data loggers, which we haven't had. So that didn't happen. So then the folks from PESCO, they were going to come out and put in some data loggers in November. Well, there's, with COVID restrictions and what have you, everybody that gets on the island has to quarantine for 2 weeks. And once you get on the island, there's 2 houses. So you have to stay in the house with no heat and no stove or oven. And for 2 weeks, so basically you get on the island after being quarantined, and then you're kind of quarantined when you're on the island for another 2 weeks. Usually people go out there and they're out there for months. And the intertidal team, we get out there and we're out there for the minus tide, and that's it. We get on, we get off. So, and plus our intertidal sites are really restricted seasonally during minus tides, daylight hours, and late August through mid-March. And that's because of the amount of disturbance it would cause if we were to just walk down to the intertidal basically mid-March through August, because of all the breeding seabirds and pinnipeds that are out there. So it's tough getting on. It's always tough getting off. You don't always get off the island when you want to get off the island. And the intertidal, for a lot of safety reasons, can't do it at night. So you have very, very limited opportunities to actually sample on the islands. It's a logistical nightmare usually. So there's that. So we're going to probably miss out on that in this winter, basically, is when we could sample. We had no access cruises this year, and those are our bird, mammal, krill surveys. We also sample OA, ocean, water samples for ocean acidification, and phytoplankton tows for orphalagral blooms. So none of that happened, and it was supposed to be a pretty good productivity year. It was very odd, especially moving into a La Nina. And there was a huge number of blue whales that came into the area to forage during our sampling time, so we missed out on that. Sanctuaries have 2 main issues with baleen whales, humpback and blue whales, and one is ship strikes, and the other is entanglement. And so our access data really helps inform quite a bit of that information, and so we missed out on that. So it kind of snowballed into, well, we definitely have to get out next year. But it's going to be hard. I mean, if you're working on a boat, on a small boat, like the Fulmar, it's only 65, 67 feet long. It's really hard to socially distance. It's hard to, you can't really spend the night on the boat. And it takes about 8 people, to at least 2 crew, and actually it takes about 9 people, at least 7, to get all the work done each day. And that sampling is usually about 5 to 10 days in a row, 3 times a year. Depends on how much money we have. So it's going to be a challenge next year. It's going to be a busy year. I have a feeling that we'll get some ship time. And hopefully we can schedule in our ROV surveys on the Fulmar later in the year. hopefully
and the Fulmar is a
September.
research vessel operated by the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries along the central to north central coast of California.
Yeah.
Whereas down in Southern California, Channel Islands, they have a similar kind of a vessel, that research vessel Shearwater. And then up on the Olympic coast, they have, I forget, they have a research vessel up there too, I believe, or they're getting one.
They're getting a new vessel that is a slightly bigger, but one of the reasons why they're not getting a larger class size vessel is because there are no marinas that will fit a 60 to 80 foot size vessel anywhere on the outer coast. So they're going with a smaller vessel, and they usually can acquire NOAA ship time or other type of ships like Nautilus, maybe ships.
I guess that helps
Yeah,
point
that's
out how collaborative research has to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one organization can do it alone.
No, absolutely not. Just our access surveys. We have 2 national marine sanctuaries working in 3 sanctuaries, and a nonprofit research institution called Point Blue Conservation Science. And NOAA spends probably about 1/3 of the cost of that entire project, and Point Blue fundraises for the majority of that project. So it's a pretty costly endeavor. And then we also have Greater Fairlands Association that helps fundraise for our research programs too. And they also help fundraise for our education and outreach programs.
Yeah, and Justin was telling us that they definitely are doing some outreach and education programs on the theme of deep sea exploration this year, so that's great. I find that students get pretty excited about some of our discoveries and the way that work is done. One of the questions that I was asked today when I mentioned that living in the deep sea, you have to be able to tolerate dark and cold and high pressure. And we showed them some of the cups, you know, the pictures of the styrofoam cups that you take them down on the ROVs. They are shrunken down by all that pressure as it pushes out all the air bubbles from the cups. And one of the students asked how the cameras work on the ROVs, because they were thinking about maybe how can the cameras and the lenses tolerate all that pressure. And I don't know all the exact answers to that kind of a question, so I was curious whether or not someone in the front row has the time to maybe help me to better understand how these cameras are built for the ROVs so that they are able to work under such high pressure.
I could take a stab at that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually the thing that's different about the lenses is that they have to compensate for the distortion in water. And you actually can't focus them when they're in the air. They don't focus right. So the field of view narrows up, and the focus range changes. So yeah, they're all glass lenses on our cameras, and they're domes, so that the dome's very a proper dome. It's very what do you call that? Like
it's a good shape.
It's sphericity. Its sphericity is